On April 14, 2026, a deadline passed in Washington. It was not a budget deadline, not a legislative vote. It was a deadline set by members of the United States Congress, specifically the task force of the declassification of federal secrets, demanding that the Pentagon hand over more than 45 videos. Not classified weapon systems, not intelligence of foreign adversaries. Videos. Recorded by United States military platforms, showing objects in the sky that the most powerful military in human history cannot identify or explain. The deadline was April 14th. The Pentagon delivered nothing. Representative Anna Paulina Luna, the Florida Republican who chairs the task force and signed the letter demanding the videos, stated publicly that the Pentagon had not even responded until her office followed up, that the letter had apparently not been passed to the appropriate authorities, that after weeks of waiting, the task force still does not have what it asked for. This is happening right now, this week, and it's the latest chapter in the disclosure story that has been building for years, and the United States government keeps finding new ways to slow down, redirect, and avoid. Let's break down exactly what was requested in that letter, what the Pentagon is refusing to hand over, what Trump's executive order on UAP disclosure actually means in practice, and why, in 2026, after congressional hearings and whistleblower testimony and declassified footage and presidential orders, we still do not have the full picture. Let's talk about what Congress asked for. The letter, signed by Representative Luna and addressed to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, requested over 45 specific UAP videos, recorded by United States military platforms. These are not UFO videos from civilian witnesses or unverified social media footage. These are recordings made by military sensors, radar systems, infrared cameras, gun cameras, reconnaissance platforms, operated by trained military personnel in official operational contexts. The videos described in the request include footage of spherical objects, a shape that appears consistently in military UAP encounters going back decades, cigar-shaped craft, objects matching the Tic-Tac description made famous by the 2004 USS Nimitz encounter, the footage of which was officially declassified and released by the Pentagon in 2020. The locations documented in these requested videos include incidents near Iran and Syria, meaning UAP activity in active military operational theaters, incidents near U.S. military bases, incidents over restricted airspace, and a specific documented incident from 2023 over Lake Huron in the American Midwest. The Lake Huron incident alone is significant. In February 2023, a U.S. fighter jet shot down an unidentified object over Lake Huron. The object was officially described by military officials as octagonal in shape, with strings hanging from it. It was never officially identified. The debris was never publicly disclosed. In the footage of the incident, if it exists, and given the military's sensor capabilities in that airspace, it almost certainly does, is precisely the kind of material covered by this congressional request. These are not requests for theoretical documents. These are requests for specific recordings of specific incidents that military personnel witnessed and documented. And the Pentagon will not hand them over to the congressional representatives who are legally empowered to conduct oversight of the military. That's the situation we're in this week. Let's talk about what the Pentagon's non-response actually means. The United States Congress has constitutional oversight authority over the Department of Defense. That's not a courtesy. It's a legal requirement. The Pentagon receives its funding from Congress. It operates under laws passed by Congress. When a congressional committee or task force formally requests documents or materials related to military operations, especially materials relevant to national security matters that Congress is legally responsible for overseeing, the Pentagon is not supposed to have the option of simply not responding. And yet here we are. Representative Luna's public statement after the deadline passed used language that deserves attention. She said it appeared the letter had not been passed to the appropriate authorities. In a department the size of the Pentagon, that explanation is plausible on its face. Large bureaucracies sometimes fail to route correspondence correctly. But this is not the first time that this has happened. The pattern of the Pentagon's engagement with congressional UAP oversight is consistent and documented. Requests get delayed, responses get routed through channels that slow them down. Briefings get scheduled and then rescheduled. Materials get partially provided with key elements redacted. Witnesses who come forward face classification barriers that prevent them from speaking freely even in classified settings. David Grusch, the intelligence officer who testified under oath before the House Oversight Committee in 2023 that the United States government possesses non-human craft, has stated that when he tried to access the programs he was describing through official channels, he was denied access and subsequently retaliated against for attempting to bring the information forward through legitimate whistleblower processes. The pattern is not incompetence. Incompetence is random. This is consistent, systematic, and it points in one direction. There is something in those 45 videos and in the broader UAP file that the decision has been made not to share. Now, what's the most unusual element coming from this current situation? Because the pressure on the Pentagon is not just coming from Congress. In February 2026, President Trump posted a statement announcing that he would be directing the Secretary of Defense and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, UAP and UFOs, and any and all other information connected to those matters. This is a presidential order directing the Pentagon to release UAP files from the same president that oversees the Pentagon. And 2 months later, the Pentagon missed the congressional deadline for exactly those files. Let that sink in for a second. The president orders disclosure. Congress sets a deadline for specific materials. The Pentagon misses that deadline without explanation. And the president who issued the order has not publicly followed up with the consequences for non-compliance. This dynamic itself is revealing. It suggests that whatever is being protected inside the Pentagon's UAP files is being protected by something more durable than any individual president or congressional task force. That the institutional resistance to disclosure operates at a level below presidential authority, in the classified programs, the contracted private entities, the compartmentalized special access programs that the whistleblowers have described and that congressional investigators have been trying to penetrate for years. Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary to whom the congressional letter was addressed, and who would be responsible for implementing Trump's disclosure order, told reporters in February that he did not have a timeline for the release of the files. Not a refusal, not a confirmation, just no timeline. In Washington, no timeline means not now. And not now has a way of becoming not ever. Here's a number that has received almost no mainstream coverage and that puts everything in this video into context. The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the AARO, is the official United States government body established to investigate UAP. It was created in 2022. It replaced the previous UAP task force. It reports to the Office of the Secretary of Defense and has a mandate to investigate UAP incidents across air, sea, space, and subsurface domains. As of February 2026, AARO's caseload has exceeded 2,000 documented UAP incidents. 2,000. That number is not the total of all UAP sightings ever reported. It is the current active caseload of the official government office whose job is to investigate them. 2,000 incidents that have been formally submitted to AARO and that remain unresolved. The DoD's own fiscal year 2024 Consolidated Annual Report on UAP documented the scale of this caseload and described AARO's ongoing efforts to characterize and resolve the incidents. What characterize and resolve means in practice is that 2,000 times, at minimum, United States military and government personnel have encountered something in the sky or underwater or in space that they could not identify. That was reported through official channels. That was logged by the government's own UAP office, and that has not yet been explained. 2,000 cases, and Congress can't even get 45 videos. We don't even know the specific content of the 45 videos Congress requested. And that's the point, we're not supposed to know. But we know enough about the incidents they likely document to understand why their release would be significant. The declassified footage already in the public domain, the Tic-Tac video from 2004, the gimbal video, the Go Fast video, shows objects performing maneuvers that exceed any known aerospace capability. No visual propulsion, no control surfaces, instantaneous acceleration, hypersonic speed without the heat signature hypersonic speed requires, behavior that is inconsistent with any human technology publicly acknowledged to exist. Those are the videos the Pentagon chose to release. The ones they apparently considered safe to make public. The 45 videos being withheld are from incidents near active war zones, near sensitive military installations, over American territory. One of them documents a physical shoot-down of an unidentified object over Lake Huron, an event that generated significant public attention in 2023, and then was essentially dropped from the news cycle without resolution. The pattern of what gets released and what gets withheld is itself informative. The released videos show objects at distance performing unusual maneuvers. The withheld videos appear to document closer encounters, more sensitive locations, and at least one incident where the U.S. military physically engaged an unidentified object. The Navy is reportedly sitting on a trove of UAP video that has not been shared with scientists or the public despite former officials publicly calling for its release. A 32-year Navy veteran and former acting NOAA administrator who viewed classified UAP video has stated publicly that the material should be shared. That the question of what these objects are and what they intend is a legitimate national security concern that cannot be addressed through ignorance. Whatever's in those 45 videos is not known, but everything surrounding them suggests it's more significant than what was already released. The official reasons given for withholding UAP materials are consistent and predictable: national security, protection of intelligence sources and methods, ongoing investigations, the need to protect military operational capabilities from disclosure to adversaries. These are legitimate concerns in a general sense. There are real reasons why military sensor capabilities should not be fully disclosed publicly. There are real reasons why details of encounters in active operational theaters near Iran and Syria might be sensitive. But those reasons don't explain the full scope of what is being withheld. They don't explain why a presidential order has not produced any results. They don't explain why congressional oversight, the legal mechanism the American system provides specifically to ensure that classified programs do not operate without accountability, keeps running into walls. The whistleblowers, Grusch and others who have come forward through official channels, have described something more specific than general national security concerns. They described a compartmentalized government program outside normal oversight channels, a program so classified that even members of Congress with relevant security clearance have been denied access. A program whose existence and scope is being protected not from foreign adversaries but from the American public and its selected representatives. If that description is accurate, and the pattern of obstruction we've documented in this video is consistent with it, then the reason the Pentagon will not release 45 videos to Congress is not bureaucratic process or national security caution. It's because releasing those videos would make the next question impossible to avoid. And the next question is the one that changes everything. The April 14th deadline passed. The Pentagon said nothing. Trump ordered disclosure in February. 2 months later, no timeline, no release, no accountability for the non-response. AARO has 2,000 active cases. Congress cannot get 45 videos. At some point, the pattern stops being explainable by bureaucratic delay or national security caution. At some point, the consistent, systematic, multi-administration resistance to transparency about what military personnel are encountering in the sky becomes its own kind of answer. What are they protecting? That question's not going away. It's getting louder. And the people asking for it are no longer just researchers and enthusiasts. They're sitting members of Congress, former intelligence officers testifying under oath, a sitting president issuing executive orders. The window for the current level of concealment is closing. And now we all just sit around and watch more of the theater and see what happens next. Let me know in the comments what you think about this one. Think we're ever going to see any of this stuff in our lifetime? Are they going to let us know what the hell's going on or not? As always, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you later.